So in this video, we are going to see that how to make use of AWS S3. It's a simple storage service. Means it's a storage that is provided by the AWS cloud. So in this exercise, we are going to learn what are the different features that is offered by the Amazon cloud in the form of S3. So we'll do a small exercise where you will see that how to create the S3 bucket. So S3 bucket is a kind of storage available onto the cloud. So we will be learning how to create the bucket, how to upload the files, uh, see various storage options available to us based on our data requirement. Then we will be setting different permissions into this bucket so that the buckets uh, can be accessed by different users in a different mode. So sometimes we want that the users must have all the users must not have the access to all the data object into the bucket. Some may access only the means they can only do the read access. The other may do the write access. Okay, have the permission of deletion or not. So all the things need to be set into this settings, and then we will have a life cycle management. There we are going to learn that how we can manage our data in a better way into our S3 bucket. Better way means because the services that we are using onto the clouds are chargeable. So the service which where you need the very frequent access and the availability of the data all the time, then you may be using standard where the latency is very minimum, and some of the data may be for I for the record keeping purpose, for the archiving purpose, where there is no need of frequent access. Even we don't bother that data to be retrieved at a very faster rate, so we can go for a slower storage device also. So depending on the nature of the data and our requirement, we can uh, make a life cycle of the data that for certain period of time the data is going to reside in this kind of storage where we want a very fast access, but after some period of time, then where when the data does not need to be accessed frequently, it may move to the other kind of storage which is cheaper. So we can do all these things in the life cycle management. Then versioning feature is also available in the S3, where you are keeping your objects, you are keeping your files, which needs to be updated time to time, and you are interested to keep all the versions of the files. So versioning option is also available here. By default, versioning is disabled. Server logging, if you want to know that uh, all the kind of accessing that is done onto your server, you want all the report that who is access who has accessed your server for accessing your storage, what is the time and what kind of object has been accessed. So all these kind of details can be acquired by doing the server logging feature. Then cross-region replication, where you want to replicate your data onto the other part or onto the other bucket. So that can also be done. So you maybe have decided that all the data which are kept in one region can also be duplicated or replicated in other region for the sake of data backup or for the sake of reducing the latency, so that the other region customer can get the data at a faster rate. So for many reasons, we are doing cross-region replication. This is also we are going to see in this practical exercise. So let's start. These are the small questions I have prepared in order to see what are the option, what are the features that is offered the by the AWS S3. So we'll go step by step, and we will learn that how these features are to be implemented onto the cloud of Amazon. So this is my account. So first you have to log into your account, and then you can type S3 here. On my screen, S3 is visible to me. So you can, if it is visible, you can directly start from here by clicking here. Otherwise, you can type your S3 and then it will take you to the S3. Click on S3 and then you will get an option create bucket. So bucket is basically a kind of container repository for you where you are keeping your data. So bucket name you have to give. Now this bucket name, you can see this is its visibility is global. Because being this is global, that means every bucket name must be unique. So and all the bucket name must be in a small letters. Capital letters are not allowed. So we'll try with bucket. Let's say bucket name is IoT uh, dash Kant. This is the name which I have given. So so if this name is available to us, then we will able to create this bucket. Otherwise, we will get a message that this name is already been uh, acquired by some other user. So then you have to decide. Though this bucket is visibility is like global, but you have to specify that in which region you want to deploy your bucket. So I want to go with the North Virginia region. Otherwise, you can select whatever region you want. Then, if already you have created the bucket earlier, and when you create the bucket, you are also setting some permissions, some rules with the bucket. If you want the same thing to be applicable to the new bucket, you can just choose the bucket and all the setting which is applicable to the previous bucket is now applicable here. You don't need to do it again. But here I am doing it as a fresh, so we will be doing all the settings. So we will not choose this option. Access control list is whatever the resources we are using onto the cloud, uh, they are governed by the set of rules, set of permissions. So it is called access control list that basically defines that how your object is to be accessed. So uh, by default, it is basically not allowed. Its access is minimum. It is not allowed to be accessible from outside your account. It cannot be accessed to the browser. No other account can also access it. Only the account user can use this the resources by default. But we can change these conditions so that it can be accessible as per our requirement. We may want that our resources can be used publicly, that anyone can use our resource, or you can also set that your resource can be used by only a particular account holder, so that we can make such kind of things onto the ACL. So I am just keeping the default. So I'll just keeping all the things default. So it's a block all public access. That means we are not allowing anyone to access the this S3 bucket. So bucket buzzing is disabled. So we don't want this at this point of time. Tag, if you want to give tag, we can give tag. Tag is basically a kind of metadata which is used to segregate your resources. Okay, so let's leave it. We are not giving any tag here. Then by default, encryption which is happening in this bucket is this SSE encryption is used. Otherwise, if you want to apply your encryption where you are going to create your key to access your resources, so then you can go with this AWS option. But here I am just keeping the default option. Okay, this also disable and then create bucket. So if the name is available, that means this IoT Tashkent is available. So we are provided this name. This bucket is now ready. Now you can, if you want to explore details about it, you can see and go to properties, and you can see that actually we have not enabled anything. We everything is default. This region is uh, North Virginia, and this is the creation time. Amazon resource name is this. Resource name is basically every resource is getting one identity. Means whenever you allocate any resource, that resource must have one identity onto the cloud, and this is known as Amazon resource name. Here we can see the permission, what permission we have given here. So we'll just go one by one all the things later. So let's go to the exercise. This is what we are doing. So the first job is create the S3 bucket. Already we have created the bucket. So this is the bucket already created, and this is IoT Tashkent. Check permission, block all access. So we have seen that all the permissions are like default. We can even cross check from here. So this is block public access. It's already, this is on. That means all the access is blocked this time. Okay. Then upload two images and a doc file in a bucket. So So we are going to upload two image and one doc file. So let me check. I have already prepared on the, okay, this is, I have one folder on my desktop just to upload some data. In this folder, I have image one, image two, and demo. So we can go here and we need to upload this thing. So I'll go to the bucket. This is my bucket. I'll click here, and then we have this option upload. You can click on upload and then click on add file, and then you can choose the path. So the path is the desktop, and this is my folder where I have stored my files. I want to get all these files, so I'll just select all and then click on open. So these files are added. Okay, so we'll just upload it. So by default, these files also don't have the permission to be accessed by outside. So by default, this is also having a minimum accessibility. So if you want to be accessed by the outside world or by the other user, then we need to change the permission. So this is done. So we can see that in our bucket, three files are visible to us. So I said that these three files to be uploaded, and name should be image one, image two, and doc one. So in my case, I have already given the document name as uh, demo image one, image two. But if the name of the object is different, you can change it from here. You can select it, go to action, and then go to rename object, and then you can just rename the object name, whatever the name you want. Okay, so we are done with this. Create a folder name IUT and move images in a folder. So now we are going to create one folder with the name IUT. So here the folder is also known as prefixes. So we go to create folder, and then I'll write IoT, and we keep the default thing, create folder. Now this IoT is created. This is the prefix. And now the next step is to copy this image file into this folder. So we'll select these images, and then we go to action. Also have a look that in the action part, we can do a lot of things. You can do find the total size. You can see the storage classes, server-side encryption, metadata tags, and also you do about the ACL. So all the steps can be find out with this action menu here. So here you want to move, so click on move, and then you can destination type. You want to move in a bucket, so I'll just browse, and inside the bucket, I want to move in this folder IoT. So choose this as a destination, and then it is asked you want to enable the bucket versioning. So by this time I am not I'm not enabling it. I am just keeping it as it is. and then just click on move and click on close. So you can see this is our Word file, and inside this folder we have two image files. Access the doc file through the browser. Set permission for access. Now I want to access the doc file. So this is my doc file, and I want to access this through a browser. So let us try to access through the browser. This is all information about our object, this doc file, where you can see the owner is this is the owner, this is the region, and the size, the type, the key. Key is basically the name here. Key means the name of the object. Then we have the object. This resource name is there. URL is something which is defines the location. If you want to access any object through the browser, then you need a URL. URI is basically refers to the identity, means the name and the location of the object. So this is also to be used when we are integrating, when you want to access any of the resources through the program. So at that point of time, we need to tell that what is the name of the object and what is the location of the object. So URI will be very handy at that point of time. So here we want to use this URL because I want to access it through the browser. So when I do this, it will say it is access denied because the object is not allowed to be publicly accessible. We need to change the object. Now, one thing to keep in mind here that we have object, object has certain permission, and then we have bucket also has certain permission. Whatever the permissions we have applied to bucket is also applicable to object in the sense if I have made bucket is not accessible and I have made my objects are accessible but bucket is not accessible because objects are inside the bucket, so automatically the objects are also not accessible. So if I say bucket are accessible and objects are not accessible, then your object is also not accessible because object permission says that this object is not granted to be accessed. So in order to make accessible any of the object through the browser, we need to check that bucket also give this permission and object also grant this permission, then only it's possible. So at this point of time, in both the bucket and the object is having a minimum accessibility. So we have to change the permission and we'll make it like public access. So we'll go to bucket first, and in the bucket we go to permissions, and here permissions we can just edit the permission and make it uh, just remove this. We'll say don't block the public access, and we have different options are there, that is basically segregating or kind of describing the different permissions or different scenarios. I have just make it all allowed to all the cases and say save changes. For this you need to confirm this that you really want. This is in general this is not suggestible because your data may be kind of confidential and you don't want to give a kind of blind access to everyone. So very carefully when we are keeping this setting, we have to be like very sure that is the data really want to be accessible by everyone or it should be limited access to some of the audience. So confirm it. This is done, and then okay, we will also change this. So for this, we need to go to the object first. So we'll go to the object. This is the object. And for this, we go to the permission. And then we go to this. So we will just, this is actually disabled. So we will make it enable because in this case, actually, it is kind of forbidding us for our public access. So we'll go here and then we acknowledge that, okay, it is acceptable, and bucket owner preferred. Now, we have scenarios. Let's say you have a bucket, and inside your bucket from other account holder, some object has been created. Okay. So now who will get the ownership of this object? Now understand, I will repeat again. Uh, there is one bucket which is created by you in your account. Okay, so you are by default the owner of the bucket as well as the owner of the object. So you have all the access rights to access this object. We also have a permission here that any other account holder can keep some object into your bucket. Now, when other person stores something into your bucket, then by default, the owner of that object means the one who is created the object is having the access right, and bucket owner means inside the object inside the bucket where the object is residing does not have a default permission to access this object. But we can do the kind of policy management. We can in our policy management we can do the setting that for every object which is inside the bucket must have a ownership of the bucket owner. That is possible, but by default, if any other uh, user, if any other from any other account, if any object is created, then by default the bucket owner into which the object is created does not get automatic permission. So here we have, in our case, this is not the thing applicable because we are the one who is holding the bucket, and we are the one who is also creating the object in the same bucket. So that is not applicable here, but just for the information, I would like to add this information to your knowledge. So I'll just choose this option and click on Save Changes. So objects can be public here, and also this we can see that this is also removed here. Okay, so now we can go to the ACL, and here we will update that this is to be publicly accessible, and then we acknowledge this and save. This is now publicly accessible. So uh, let us go back to our object, this object, and just take the URL and then try to access this, and still it says it's not accessible, so we need to check the permissions. So we'll go and see the permission here. So here it has only read and write, but it is not publicly accessible. Only the bucket owner means from your account only you can access, but from the browser it's not accessible. So you can go to edit, and then so we need to do this setting for the bucket as well as for the object. So in both the cases we need to update the ACL. So previously we have set the ACL for the bucket. Now we are setting the ACL for the object. So it is done, and you can copy this and then go here, and you can see this is copied here. If I go here, show in folder, this has been uh, copied here now. Okay, so now that means it's accessible from the browser. Now let's see what is next. So we have moved images in the folder, access the doc file through the browser. We have set the permissions, allow image file temporary accessible for some duration through the browser. So we'll go back to our images here, So images are inside the IoT folder. Now this image presently is kind of not accessible to the browser. We can cross check this. We can take this URL and we can write it here, and you can see this is not accessible. So we don't want to make it accessible all the time, but we want to make it accessible for a certain duration where you want that any user can access it for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour. So you can just give a link which is only live for that duration, and after that duration, that link is uh, not live. So that particular object is not accessible. So we can go to the object which we want to make it accessible for a certain duration. So we'll go here, go to action, and then we will be share a pre-signed URL which allow to access the object for a certain duration. So I want this to be accessed for 10 minutes duration, and create pre-signed URL. Now this is the link which is given to us, that can be given to anyone, and anyone can use this. Okay, so let's talk here. I will be writing this link here, and you can see that this object is accessible, and this link is only working for a specified time duration, that is 10 minutes in our case. Okay, just close all this thing. Now find the storage class for the object created and check the pricing for storing 60 TB per month. So first thing is we need to check that what is the storage class we have we are using for the doc file. Okay, so every object that we are storing onto the cloud must have a storage class. Okay, storage class, we have different kind of storage classes are available, as we have discussed. So we'll see what storage class is given to us. So by default, whenever you create any object, and if you don't specify your storage class, it goes to the standard storage class. At the time of uploading your object, that time also you can specify what storage class you want. But if you are not specifying, then by default it goes to standard. So standard is a kind of pay as per your usage. You have to pay for it. So let us check that what is the storage class is assigned to us, and then we want to check that if I want to store 60 TB of data per month, then how it is going to charge. So let us check about this image only. You can check anyone. Let's say I'm going to know what is the storage class given to this image. So I go to action and I go to storage class. So here you can see that standard is assigned to us. Okay, and we want to know that what is the charge, what is the pricing that this is charging to us. These are the different storage classes, and this is the kind of reason that this is basically good when you want the frequent access. So these are the different kind of use cases where you identify that which storage class is suitable to you. And then these are certain other things which need to be known to you, that what is the minimum time period that you need to keep your data into a defined storage, and how many availability zones will be given to you by default. So normally when we store anything onto the cloud provides a strong backup for us. So whatever the data you are storing, it will be actually stored in multiple availability zones. So availability zones is a kind of data center. So automatically you are getting a backup, and that is how they claim that they have 99.99991 nines. They are kind of claiming the durability because they are doing a very strong backup for us. Okay, so we need to know that how much price we need to pay in the standard storage class. So you can see here, this is a Amazon S3 pricing given to us, and here you can see all the pricing which is applicable this point of time. So this is for 50 TB of data per month. It is at the rate of 0.023 per GB. So 1 TB is basically 10 to the power 3 GB, or you can say roughly 1000 GB. 1000 GB means 1 TB. So for the first 50 TB, you need to pay this much, and then let's say if you talk about the 60 TB, so for the 50 TB, for the first 50 TB, this rate is applicable, and for the next another 10 TB, you have to uh, you have to pay as per this rate. So if you are interested to find out that what will be the price if I need to store anything into the standard storage for a month and data size is 60 TB, then as per this pricing, you can calculate your expenses. Okay, so going back, change a storage class for one of the object kept in a folder to an intelligent tier. So we have already seen that these are the different tiers which are applicable to us. Means this is the different options available to us. So if you realize that the standard is not good for you, and if you want to switch to other storage class, you can switch it from here. Okay, so you can select whatever it is good for you. You can select that one. So as per the question, it says that you need to change from standard to intelligent tiering. So this tiering is basically good when you are not sure about the nature of your data, means what is the accessibility pattern. Then we are keeping this job to the cloud, that cloud itself will monitor the data, analyze the data, and will find out that which storage class is good for us, and then it will move our data accordingly. So this is also a good option, but this is quite costly because we are giving some service, extra service to the cloud. But as a whole, if your data size is large, we can save a lot if we give this job to the cloud, and they can manage our data kind of in a better way. So I changed from standard to intelligent, and we have to save this. So you come here and save changes, and now our tiering is changed to uh, our storage class is changed to intelligent tiering. So you can just go and verify this. This is our image, and you can see all the information here. So storage class is now intelligent tiering that we have changed. Okay, then go back. Change a storage class to one of the, and then what we have seen here, change a storage class to the intelligent tiering, upload the same doc file again, not overwriting, not overwriting of older file. Okay, so actually now we are trying to see what is the meaning of version. So let's say if I go to my this bucket here, in the bucket we have this file demo.docs. So if you go and see that in the demo.docs, this is a demo file. The content is, this is a demo file. Okay, so I go here and I just upload one more file. I just say upload, and I upload the same file in the same bucket. So when you upload the same file in the same bucket, so what is going to happen? This is basically going to overwrite override the previous one. So now you can see in your bucket, now you have one file demo. This is the same one which you were having earlier, but now earlier file is not existing because earlier one is now overwritten by the new one. So there is no versioning enabled this point of time. Versioning allows us that uh, you can keep multiple version of the same file in the same folder. So if you want to see the versioning enabled or not, you can just click here, and here you can find version option is there, and now versioning is not enabled, it says. Okay, so now what is required? We want to enable the versioning. Okay, so either you can enable from here, or also versioning it is asking to us. So okay, I'll say enable versioning. I will say enable versioning, and now versioning is enabled. So if you go to your file and if you say new content added, and you can save this file. And now if you upload the file again. So if I go here back, I go to my folder, I again upload the file with the same name. I say add file and upload. So this file is uploaded. Now you can see here. So here it sees it shows it shows that only one file is visible to us, but actually this contains all the versions. So you can go here and check the versions. So this is the the latest one, and this is the previous one. This is the current version. So if you open this, then or you can download this, you can find this is the one which we have been modified, and this is the one which is the older one. Okay. So we have uploaded the same doc file, enable the versioning. We have enabled the versioning, and then we have also make some changes and upload the same doc file and check that now we have versioning enabled, and we are able to see the old version and the new version. We can also make one more file. We can also upload. Let's say I go back and I will upload one more file. That means the same file again, and you can see this new version will be reflected in the in the in the bucket, in the version history, you can say. Okay, so this is done. And if you go here and if you go to version, and now you can see this is the current version, and it also show you at what time this version has been uploaded here. Okay, so I hope you understood. Set up the lifecycle management for only a folder in a bucket. Say rule 1. Now we are now demonstrating the lifecycle management. Lifecycle management means we want to set that how these storage class can be used by our object. That means I want that for a certain period of time, the object will stay in one type of storage class, let's say standard, and then it moves to infrequent standard, then it moves to the kind of glacier, okay, then it moves to the deep glacier, because as the time passes by, this object may not be that much accessible or required. So we want to keep it in a cheaper or a less costlier storage classes. So this is we can do with the help of management. So you can do your management. Now here we have an option that you can uh, move the entire bucket to the different storage, or you can select some of the files that can be moving to a different storage, or you can select some of the folders can move to the different storage. So all the options are given to us. So based on our requirement, we can set that what kind of life cycle management we want to apply into our bucket. So we'll set one rule, and I want that only the folder will going to move to a different storage class, not the entire bucket object. So I'll go and I'll say set rule number 1. You can give any rule as per your, kind of whatever you like, that this name is good to recognize that what is the purpose of the rule. So limit the scope of this rule using one or more filters. So if you don't want to apply the rule to the entire bucket, then you choose one option. If you want to apply this for the entire bucket, then you choose to the second option. But I want to apply only to a folder, and my folder is a prefix, and the prefix name is IUT. So I will write that IUT is a prefix. So whatever the folder whose name is IUT, only to that folder this rule is applicable. Okay, and then you can further make a more kind of conditioning here that inside this folder, if the object is having a minimum size, let's say 2 GB or 3 GB, and maximum size of 100 GB, then only it will be moved to the different storage class. Means only the transition is only then applicable. So other things you can also satisfy, kind of specify here. And then you can also tell that what you want. You want all the current version of the object to be moving to the different class, or the current as well as the non-current versions can also be going to the class. And what is the expiry kind of settings, means at what point of time you want that your object is no more relevant for your company, for your organization, then this data should be deleted. So you can also set the uh, expiration conditions here. So I am setting for the current, for the non-current, and for the expiry of the current. We are just doing demonstration here. We are just trying what are the different options are available. So I just chosen the three options here, and then I need to set. But before setting all these things, we need to know the the mean, all the particular detailing of this, means every storage class have some rules. For example, if you are using the kind of infrequent access, that then you have to keep it for 30 days there. If you are using the glacier, you need to keep it for over 90 days. So you need to specify, you need to know, and then only you are able to specify this kind of transition. So we can choose here standard infrequent access and number of days you can say. So you can just have a look what options we have chosen. We have given the rule name, and then we have given the IoT, and then this we have left. We have chosen this uh, transition and expiration conditions, and number of days, let's say 30 here. You want to add more transition rules, you can just add transition. Now this is for non-current version. So you can say that from standard IA, it will move after 30 days, it will move to standard IA. And then you can add more transition here, that after that it can move to different storage after that many days. So you can just make a complete life cycle. For the current version, I am just setting one for the current and one for the non-current here. So in the non-current also, from this it will be let's say 30 days. How many versions you want to keep? Let's say two here. And about the expiration, so it after 50 days it got expired. So this is what we have set it here. Current version should be going to move to the storage after 30 days. It moves to from standard to standard IA, and after 50 days it has to expire. Similarly for non-current, it has to move after 30 days. Okay, then create rule. So rule is created. So now we have set this rule. Similarly, we can set the life cycle management rule for the entire bucket. So again, you can go and set rule number 2, and you can say apply to all the buckets. Okay, so we'll go back. I'm skipping this part here. Now create a new bucket for storing the inventory. So we'll create a new bucket, create bucket, and let's say the name is inventory bucket in the same region. So this bucket must be in the same region. Then only it is possible to get the inventory. It should be not in different region. Okay, this is not to be accessed by outside, so we'll keep all this default, and even not, and this is also to be blocked. And then create. Bucket name contains invalid characters. So this is already exists. As I said that every bucket name must be unique, so this is already existing. So let's say I have just add some more thing here. Now this is created in the same region. Okay, so now we need to go to, we want to get the inventory of the previous bucket into the new bucket. So the inventory of this bucket need to be visible here. So I go here and I go to uh, just go back and see the buckets. This is the bucket, uh, the older bucket we have, and then we can go to this bucket and then we go to management, sorry, in the management. So you can go to inventory. So you can create inventory configuration on a bucket to generate a flat file of your object and metadata. The schedule report can include all objects in the bucket or be limited to a shared prefix. Okay, so create the inventory. Let's say demo inventory, and the scope is the entire bucket. Include only the current versions. So I want to see the accessibility uh, behavior of my current versions, and then destination bucket should be in the same account, or you want that this inventory to be stored in some other account. Then if you want different account, then you have to give all the details of the different account. Otherwise, this account you can choose and choose the destination. This is the destination which I want to choose, and then you want this inventory on a weekly basis or daily basis. Let's say on a weekly basis. So this report will be given on a weekly basis to you, and okay, just keep it all default. This is done. Then set the cross replication of any object. Now I want to replicate my kit to some other region. So we will create two more buckets. And what actually we want to demonstrate? We want to demonstrate this thing, that this is one bucket we are having, and we will trying to replicate all the things from this bucket to this bucket. So whenever you add something here, automatically it will be also replicated or duplicated here. And we will also see that we will also make a replica of this to this bucket. So whatever you add here, it will be also added here. What you will add here will also add here. But this does not mean that whatever comes from here. So let's say you add something A. So A will also go here. But A will not go here because this A object is not the original object of this bucket, but this is a copied object. The copied objects are not going to replicate. Whatever the object you create here will be going to replicate here. Now this is what we need to demonstrate. So we'll go back into our AWS here. So first we need to create buckets in different regions. So go to bucket. This bucket is in the Virginia region. I'll create one more bucket, and let's say this is bucket 2 in the somewhere in the Asia region. Let's say this one. Here we have only one option is available, this, and okay, keep it all the things default. Okay, this is done. We'll create one more bucket, and this is somewhere, let's say in which region? In Europe region. Buck 3, Europe. Now we'll do this thing. We want to make all the copied of this all the things of this bucket to be copied here, and all the things of this bucket to be copied here. Okay, so we'll go here. Okay, so I want to make a replica for this Virginia region bucket. So I'll click it here. I'll go to management. I go to replication rules. I will make rule 1. Now this replication is only be applicable when we have enabled the versioning. If the versioning is not enabled, then application is not allowed. Okay. Then apply this to all the objects in the bucket. So you want to replicate some objects or all the objects. So I have chosen this, and destination is the this Asia region. Okay, and we have to create one IAM role. Okay, just select create new IAM role, and other things just leave it. If you want to change the storage class, so let's say at the source object you are using the standard, but when you replicate, it should be stored in a, let's say, infrequent access. So you can change the storage class if you want. You can say I want to change it in the standard infrequent access, and then save. So something is missing here. This we have to enable the bucket versioning because this is required. Versioning must be enabled before you replicate. So you want to replicate all the object, means all the newer object that will go into the bucket, or already some objects may be there and now you are doing the replication. So you want the replication for all the object or only for the new object. So I do not want the older object, but whatever the new object I will add, it should be replicated. So submit, and this is done. We have made one rule for replication from a new Virginia region to Asia. Now we will add a new rule. I want to replicate all the object in my Asia region to Europe region. So I'll go to this bucket, go to management, go to replication rules, and the rule name is, let's say, 2. Rule 2, um, Asia to Europe. Apply all the objects, and okay, I choose this to Europe. You need to enable the bucket versioning, create IAM rule, and that's it. Now these are different options. It says that whenever you replicate, whenever you upload any object into your bucket, and if the replication is enabled, then within 15 minutes it will be maximum 15 minutes it will be going to copy or replicate your object, and at the same time it will also give you all the information. So if you want all these other features as well, you have to enable it, but keep in mind that whatever the features you are enabling, they are all chargeable. Fees will be applied if you want to get these services. Then click here. Okay, so now we have created the replication rules. So now we need to demonstrate this. So how to demonstrate? We will be going to our bucket. Now we will upload some object in this bucket and some of the object in Asia, and we'll see that how they are replicating into the bucket because of this replication rule. So I go to this, I will upload one here, and I will be going to add file. Let's say this is my file image. Now I'll give it new name, image 3. It's a new image. and this I'm going to upload. So, okay, this we have uploaded here in the very first bucket, IoT Tashkent, and the replica of this goes to this bucket. So whatever we have uploaded here must be visible here, and also we upload something here, and whatever we upload here must go here. So we'll go to upload, add file, and let this is name is this image. We keep all the things default, close. So immediately you cannot see the files being copied or replicated. It will take some time. So let us have a look that does it reflecting. So if you go to this folder, you can see that we have these files are here. New image is showing here. And let's see if we go to here. Only Asia image is visible to us, but actually it should show this image, and along with this, it must also show the image which is being replicated from the other folder. And if we go here, I think there is nothing visible here. It will take some time, so let us wait for some time. By the time we will do some different step. Okay, go to our question. Enable server access logging. If you want to get all the logging information that who have accessed the server, how many objects have been accessed, the details of the accessor and the time, mm, that all things you can get through this option. Yes, server access is actually available in this property. So you can go and server access login. You can go to edit. This is by default is disabled. So if you want to get all the access log, so um, after a month or after a week time, you can set, and all the access log will be provided to you as a separate file, and that separate file give you all the details. You will enable it, and then you will set the target bucket where you want to get this detailed report. So let's say I want to get this detailed report in this bucket, which is inventory bucket. So I select this bucket and save changes. Now you will get the access server access logging information in this bucket. Okay, after a period of time, you will get all the information. Now let us check the status of this bucket. So in this we have these two objects. Object is visible. When I go to Asia bucket, still not copied. Now you can see this has already been replicated. This is the image which we have uh, copied, and this is the replication image, right? Similarly, if you go to the other bucket, Euro bucket, and this has also been replicated. So replication rule is now visible and implemented here. Okay, and also you can see that though we have make a replica of Europe is a replica of Asia, but in the Asia we have two files, but in this Europe we have only one file, because replica is only happening for the original objects, not for the duplicated objects. So we have seen all the steps we have gone through, and you can see this is the status. So we have created these many buckets, and we have learned how to create the bucket, how to upload, how to set the server access logging, how to do the life cycle management and replication. So this is all for this uh, lab. See you in the next exercise. Thank you very much.